Hey guys, what's up? So me and about 5 other friends came out here to do a small portion of the Arizona Trail. We're heading back to the car, but I wanted to take this time to go over 5 other ways that I'm preparing for my thru hike of the Appalachian Trail in 2022. Not just getting debt free and saving money, that's the big one, but there are a lot of other things that I'm trying to do in order to make sure that I can be, or I have to be, or I need to be, or I want to be the absolute best that I can be when I hit that trailhead in Springer Mountain, Georgia. So let's go over the 5 things that I'm going to be working on. Okay, so number 5. Number 5 is basically backpacking basics. I've been backpacking, it'll be 2 years in October. But I've been fortunate enough to hike with a group of people who have kind of held my hand along the way. You know, I'm a part of a group, the Arizona Backpacking Club, and there's hike leaders who basically know a lot more information than I do. And I kind of have been relying on them while I get out in the backcountry and like dial down my gear and just get the experience of hiking with a pack and things like that. What I haven't been doing is I haven't been doing any research regarding water sources or elevation gain and loss or even navigation. I gotta learn how to read a compass because I haven't been doing that. Another like basic knowledge backpacking thing that I have to do is I have to solo. This goes back to what I just said about kind of relying on other people and the group in general to kind of bail me out if I have fears, you know, because there's always people around. And I know that there's going to be people on the AT. I know it's a highly trafficked trail. I know there are trail markers. I know I probably won't need a compass or anything like that, but I'm trying to do whatever I can to prepare myself in my mind that I have done this before. I know how to read a map. I know how to look for water sources. I know how to kind of take care of myself, which I'll admit I haven't really been doing. I rely a lot on other people. So these are kind of things that I need to work on starting now, you know, and I've learned a lot since I've started backpacking, but it's time to kind of put it into new gear and get better and get more confident and eventually solo. Eventually get over those fears of being alone. And honestly, I'm an introvert, so if I could get past that, I might just be doing that all the time. Who knows? So that's number 5, just backpacking knowledge, get more experience, and learn things that I've kind of been slacking on. Number 4 is going to be gear and clothing. So since I've been backpacking, my gear and clothing have changed. Not a whole lot, but as I've learned new things, as I've tried new things, I've switched things up a bit, and it's constantly changing. So narrowing down gear and clothing is going to probably happen a lot slower than anything else. And that's because financially, you know, I'm trying to get out of debt. And gear and clothes, they cost a lot of money. It's gonna take some time to acquire new things. One of the ways that I can kind of narrow it down without actually purchasing anything is by backpacking. Because by backpacking, you get to see other people and their setup. You get to kind of like window shop. What tents they use, what water filtration they use, what packs they use, what shoes they wear. Essentially, you get to ask them questions like, why do you choose that one? What works for you? What didn't work for you? Why do you like this product? What do you not like about this product? That's what I'm going to do more of. Not that I don't do that as is, but I'm going to keep doing that until I'm out of debt and until I can acquire new gear to kind of test and narrow down. Whew, I'm winded. All right, let me take a break before we get on to number 3. Number 3. So number 3 is going to basically be about mental strength. That's kind of what I've always been working on, but I've never pushed myself to see things through. You know, I kind of give up if things get too hard, which is shocking that I have been able to sustain this debt-free journey. not only sustain it, but make a lot more progress than I was expecting to make, right? But like hiking 2,190 miles, I've never done that. And it's gonna take a lot of mental strength, along with physical strength, but a lot of mental strength. So I need to start working on that. You know, I go to therapy, I see a therapist, and we talk mostly about my things that happened when I was a child. I have like a lot of childhood trauma. We're working through that because that kind of affects my mentality today. Now, kind of embarking on a debt-free journey or something like the AT, that requires a lot more mental strength than just like regular everyday life, right? So my goal for mental strength for number 3 is to be able to kind of pull myself out of the snowball effect of anxiety. Yeah, it's gonna be trying to figure that out. Figure out how my body works, like if there's anything that's gonna kind of help me pull myself out of things, be nutritional wise or meditation or just the good old-fashioned kick in the ass. So those are a lot of things I gotta kind of attain. I hate this damn airplane. Hang on, I'm gonna pause it while it goes by. All right, it's gone, kind of. So basically what I'm trying to do is I watch like a lot of impact theory, I read a lot about how your brain works and how to kind of trick it, and how it kind of wants to stop you from doing things, what fear does to you, what anxiety does to you, getting past kind of those mental barriers. I'm into like David Goggins right now, and I found him on impact theory. I like the way he speaks about like, you gotta push yourself, you gotta be in pain, and you got to just get through it. I mean, I'm horrible at paraphrasing what he's about. I'm gonna need to dig deep mentally, you know. It's gonna be wet, it's gonna be soppy. So there's just a lot of things that I gotta like kind of prepare for, because the one thing I don't want to happen is I don't want to come to a point where I'm not feeling good internally and I want to quit. And just mental strength is what I need to work on, you know. And I have like things that I've been through in my life that what I tap into now, if I'm going through a problem or if I'm going through something now, I tap into, well, you went through this and you went through that and you went through that, and that helps me, you know, that builds me up. That's like, hell yeah, I did go through that, I did do this. But ultimately it's, you know, that's going to maybe run dry, and I need to figure out a way to pick myself up and keep walking. And that's the goal of number 3. Number 2, learning some history. So I'm a member of the Thru-hiking Nation here in Arizona, and that's really a specific way of a more broad term, which means that I am Native American. Now, I don't know everything about even my own culture, you know, and you get shamed a lot about not knowing, you know, not being fluent in your language, not knowing the history. So while I do often try to learn my own culture and history, I am going to make an equal effort to learn, if not more of an effort, because I really want to document it when I'm doing my thru hike, but of learning about the indigenous cultures who lived in those lands. You know, I have a very general sense of history when it comes to the indigenous cultures of, let's say, like the Smoky Mountain area. The Trail of Tears is basically the extent of my knowledge, and even then it's just a general knowledge. My mother and I, we went to the Great Smoky Mountains in 2016, I believe, and anywhere I travel I try to visit indigenous museums to try and learn more about the kind of people who lived in that region. And we went to Cherokee Nation up there, and I got to talk to some people. But what I want to do is I want to read books, search online. And this is interesting for me because not only because I'm Native American, but you know, history here in this country, it's not really talked about until, you know, the settlers came. And that's the way it just is. But when I watch people's through hike of the AT, I see like a lot of what do they call them, like not plaques, emblems, like historical monuments of like, you know, this in 17 whatever was this war. And you know, while that's interesting in itself, I'm not saying that I don't acknowledge that kind of history. I do, of course. I was brought up in the American school system, and I have some general knowledge on that too. But I want to go beyond that, because you don't see those kind of historical monuments on the AT, and if there are, I have not seen them in anybody's through hike. But you know, I would like to know these lands were occupied by insert whatever indigenous population. I want to know that. I guess my goal is to try and get some more knowledge. I'm not looking to be an expert or any sort of scholar, you know. I just want some general knowledge because, you know, even out here, I'm walking on lands just everywhere, this whole country. You're walking on lands that people have walked on 1,000 years prior, and we know nothing about them, you know. I would love to go through my AT through hike talking, not a whole lot, but just a little bit about the people who lived in that area before white settlers came in. But anyway, that's number 2. I'll talk about number 1 in a second. I'm almost done with this hike. We're almost to the cars. Number 1's a big one. I'm sure you already know what it is. Alright guys, so we made it to the cars, and I am in Payson, Arizona, and I'm standing outside Mackey's Grill, which is where we're gonna get something to eat. So let's go over the number 1 thing that I'm gonna be working on until it's time for me to do my through hike. On average, my pack weight is about 32 pounds. 32 to 35 pounds on average is what my pack usually weighs. So my goal, if you haven't guessed it, is to lose at least 2 packs. So that means I want to lose at least 60 to 70 pounds before I do the AT. Now the problem is that when I come back from backpacking, we go to these places because everybody's hungry, you know, we're eating trail food, whatever. We want burgers, we want pizzas, we want, you know, enchiladas, we want like the really good eating stuff. Once I started backpacking, I was just turned into that hiker. I turned into the person who was eating high calorie foods and kind of losing track of my weight essentially, because I would go and have drinks, and I would go eat the nachos, and I would go eat the taquitos, and I would, you know, do all that stuff. And that eventually led to me gaining weight because, you know, I would go hike 3 or 4 miles and think that I hiked a 22-mile day on the AT and go in and stuff my face, and that just got me into trouble and I gained a whole lot of weight. So now I have to be conscious of what I put in my body. I gotta do some working out. I gotta work on my legs. I gotta work on my core. I gotta just lose weight. And it's not even essentially the weight. Like I say, I want to lose 2 packs, but it's not even essentially the weight. I want to be fit enough to do this, you know. I want to be fit enough to climb these mountains and, you know, not only be mentally strong but also be physically strong. And that's my goal, is like, that's what I gotta do. So that's it. That's the number 1 thing. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. I know my channel started off being a debt journey video, which it's gonna continue until I get out of debt, and then it'll be a savings journey. But it's also just gonna be prepping for the AT. And these are some examples of what I'm going to be working on in order to make sure that I am as prepped as I possibly can be for the AT. Leave me in comments. Let me know what you think. Am Am I like overlooking something that is equally as important as these 5 things, or even more important, like financially? Let me know what you think, because, you know, I don't know everything, and sometimes when you're really deep in something, you don't see the bigger picture. So leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.